Anyone who claims to be a public speaking expert will tell you that if you want to give better speeches, you have to tell personal stories and you have to practice. I'm sure you've heard that advice before, right? But is anyone really giving you practical tips on how to do that? Well, stay tuned because I'm going to share with you the practical tips that I used to become the world champion of public speaking. Last we left off on the journey, I had learned that I needed to find a way to be myself on stage. The easiest way to do that is to tell a personal story. So that's what I did in 2015. I created a brand new speech with a story that was personal. It was basically about a bad dating experience that I had when I was younger that helped me learn a critical life lesson. And I hated it.
And it was a speech that I honestly didn't think was going to do very well. It was the best personal story that I had at that time.
I thought to myself, this story is too simple. It's too basic. It wasn't grand. It wasn't extraordinary. It was just my life. And to be honest, I didn't think that it would work because I didn't feel comfortable with the content. It was a little revealing and it put me in a self-deprecating light, something that I was not used to as a speaker. Not only was I not comfortable with the speech in 2015, I also suffered from the return of a very old enemy.
I've gone from area to the semifinals between 2012 and 13. Then I won back-to-back in 2014.
Right.
So I took my progress and I took the contest for granted.
Interesting, okay.
I didn't practice as much as I had in previous years.
So this is a really key point because this is the reality of competing for many years. People don't hear about the years you don't get to the semis, right? Especially when you've been to the semifinals a couple of times, that you're right, the hubris sets in. You think, oh, I'll get back to the semis next year.
The return of the dreaded ego, or you could call it the ego strikes back. As a result of that performance in 2015, I placed second in my district that year. My 2-year streak of getting to the semifinals was over, and naturally, I was disappointed.
I remember when I got home, I just threw the trophy somewhere and I didn't even want to look at it. I gave the trophy away a little bit later.
Yeah.
My disappointment was more of a reflection of my own shortcomings. But even though it wasn't the result that I wanted, there was a huge positive sign that I was moving in the right direction.
One piece of feedback that I received that helped me continue to move forward. And it was from another competitor who had been to the semifinals before. He came up to me and said, "Aaron, that speech is the best speech that I have ever heard you give."
Progress does not always mean winning. 2015 actually was the turning point for me because I was finally able to see that a personal story worked. What I thought was a detriment before actually turned out to be the strength of a personal story. Yes, it was simple. Yes, it was basic. But do you know what else it was? Relatable. Telling a personal story can be revealing. It can be self-deprecating. It can put you in a negative light sometimes. But it also shows the audience that you are human. And if you show the audience that you are human, just like them, then guess what else that makes you? Relatable. When you're relatable, it's easier for the audience to connect with you. Now the question is, how do you find those relatable personal stories? Right now, I want you to go and get a pen, paper, a laptop, or anything that you can write on because we're going to walk through these steps and these questions together. I know when I look at the analytics for this video, this is going to be the point where I lose a whole bunch of viewers. You mean to tell me that to be a better speaker, I actually have to work? Yeah. Okay, now that we've eliminated the non-serious speakers, the first thing that I need for you to do is to stop thinking about yourself as a speaker and instead think about yourself as the main character in your story. I will now give you a moment to make this mindset shift. Okay, good job. To help you find the plot to your personal story, we're going to return to the 6 character development questions that we learned about in part 2. However, instead of doing them in numerical order, we're going to switch things up a bit. Nice. The answer to question 1 is already done. You are the character in your story. The story is going to be told from your first-person perspective. But now we're going to plot this story going backwards. We're going to answer question number 5. What was the goal or result? To answer this broader question, you can first answer at least one of the 3 underlying questions. Is there a goal that you achieved after experiencing trials or heartbreak? Is there a loss that you had to learn to cope with? Is there an internal emotional struggle that you had to overcome? The key here is to keep it simple. You want to make sure that you have 1 to 2 sentences at most. If you need to pause and come back to this, that is perfectly fine. But you want to make sure that you answer this question because answering question number 5 is critical. Now, let's answer question number 4. Who or what helps the character get what they want? Who was the person that helped you reach your end goal? What did they say? What did they do? For the sake of your story, please avoid the phrase, "and then I suddenly realized." Don't try to make yourself seem like the smartest person in the room by coming to a miraculous conclusion that came out of nowhere. It's great that you did realize it, but dig deeper. Who or what helped you to realize it? Did you observe somebody? Were you mentored? Was there some event that took place that helped you see a bigger picture? Don't try to shortcut this answer because it's going to be a huge factor in how your audience connects with you. Question number 3. What problem does the character face? Ask yourself, why did you need help in the first place? Before your guide or life-changing event came into the picture, what challenges kept you from getting the goal that you wanted? Was it a lack of knowledge? Was there a person or a group of people in your way? Or was there a character flaw that prevented you from seeing the bigger picture? Again, pause, think hard on this. Lastly, question number 6. What is the change or growth of the character? Compare yourself as a character from the beginning to the end result. Is what you achieved what you initially wanted? Did you gain something that you weren't expecting, like a different reward or new wisdom? What was the final lesson you learned after going through your experience? Now that you have answered all 6 of these questions, we're going to add a bonus 7th question. What makes your character's experience helpful to others? Basically, what you're trying to answer is, can this story be relatable to other people? And if so, how? You need to identify who are the people who will benefit from hearing your story, and you need to tell us why or how they will benefit. The final step for now is to switch the character development questions and your answers back to their original order. What you now have is a basic outline for a simple personal story. Congratulations.